Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to the Hot Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host here, the Hot Patriot, and for today's episode, we're going to be doing a winter sock review. I would have done this last week, but unfortunately, I developed a cold about 2 weeks ago, as it was. Just because we had a really bad cold front come through, and that's actually the main reason why I was going to do this winter sock review, is because, obviously, winter is approaching us in any of the states that, get snow, including here in Ohio. And I realized about 2.5 weeks ago, give or take, that it was time to re-up my sock game when it came to winter socks, because I realized that a few pairs that I had that were like the old heat holders and stuff like that had worn through, and there were some pretty bad holes in like the heel of them and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, let's go to Amazon, let's find some various socks for hopefully around $20 or so, because I know that's what the heat holders were. I found originally, but then they were like 24, 25 when I had the new pair of them as it was, and I was like, yeah, I'm not paying $25 for these. Let's see if I can find something under 20 or right around the $20 bill mark, so it is there. And so I found a few options, obviously. They're on Amazon, and I picked through, a couple of them is what it was, and basically ended up finding these hot feet ones, Winterlace, and then the most hot socks they were labeled as on the package. And so we're just going to go over those three. This is what it is right now. So what was called the most hot socks. This was actually the first pair, this is actually the second pair I had on. The Winterlace was the first ones, and then the hot feet were the latest ones. They actually came last. And they're also the ones I'm wearing right now and have been wearing for the last several days now, is what it is, because out of all three of them, they seem to retain the most heat of everybody, is what it is. So we're going to go over all three of them right now, and we'll just do a whole thing here. So basically, going to Amazon here, this is what I bought. I believe these two pairs right here, where it was red and it was a blue one, and they were $19 at that time. They also have other ones like these ones right here for $15. You got that one for $18. You have this one for $17, $18, $18, $17, $17, $17, $18, etc. There's a few other pairs over here. You can get like a big 6-pack for like $24, but they're all black, is what it is. And these are not bad. Like I said, specifically, like I said, this is the 2-pack I ended up getting, was there, and they're not bad. They retain some heat for sure. And I think honestly, these would probably be the ones if I was going to go on like a camping trip or something, and I needed something to like wear like out in the wilderness to where my feet weren't going to freeze and stuff like that, and I need like extra insulation. Basically, these would probably be what I'd actually wear out there, like on a hike, is what it is. However, obviously, like I said, I think there's better options is what it is right now, especially for around the similar price point as what it is there. And that's basically where we go to the others that I'm going to discuss right now, which are specifically these hot feet ones. See a second. Sorry, tabs are all over the place right now. Yeah, these hot feet ones, which are mostly 22 across the board for a 2-pack one, is what it is. So you're basically paying about $11 a pair for them, which is a little higher. But they can also get a 4-pack that is a 37, and they have various colorations and stuff like that. I end up getting, obviously, the ones I got right now, I think were maybe this pack right here for the 4-pack. Or maybe it was one of the other ones that's out of stock right now that look cooler and stuff like that were also around 37 there. But yeah, they got all kinds of different ones that are currently out of stock for some of the 2-packs, so it is there. But yeah, like they're pretty good, though, is what it is. And when you go to that 37 point, you're obviously paying $9.25 a pair, is what it is then. So it's actually slightly better, is what it is then. And like I said, these are the ones that I would personally wear around the house, or if I was on a camping trip, these are probably what I would switch out to while I was in the sleeping bag, because I know that they're going to retain more heat, and they're going to be better for you. And overall, I think they're just going to be keeping your body a lot hotter, a lot, more heat retention, etc. There's what it is. Now, granted, that being said, we obviously have the third and final one to talk about, which is the Winterlace brand, which these ones specifically, I think they're similarly on par with the first one, the what I call the most hot sock. And these are the first ones I actually tried out. They're not terrible. And the thing is, it's like you get 6 packs for $15. So, you can't really beat that. Like 2 a pack, and then you got 10% off code is what it is there. So basically, you're paying like $12.50 or so for these. So, and again, you basically are getting what you're paying for. And one thing I realized with all these is that, with the exception of the hot feet ones, the other two, these Winterlace ones, and then those most hot socks, both have about half as much material in them for like wool stuff is what it is, to actually keep your feet hot and keep your feet, heated enough to where you can actually get stuff done as what is there. And so these would be the ones that I would probably steer clear of, honestly, just because of that. Because from what I've, personally experienced and stuff like that, these are the ones that seem to keep my feet the least hot, obviously, or retain the least heat based on what it is there. To where even if I was walking around, like my feet were still kind of cold, is what it was. So, especially in the tips of my toes and things like that. And like I said, you're basically getting what you're paying for. There's what it is when you're paying, $12 to $15 for 6 packs of socks. It's going to be, if you're paying $2.53 for a pair of socks, like it's going to be a lot less, quality than if you're paying, $11, $12 for a pair of socks. Is what it is, I believe. Now, granted, does that mean the extra money is always worth it? It all depends on you at that point. I mean, if you have the ability to put like multiple pairs of these socks on together, like good for you. I don't, so it's going to be like a one and done for me. And like I said, for me personally, it would be the hot feet ones, because I feel like those are the best of all 3 pairs, is what it is. Obviously, like I said, they're also the most expensive, unfortunately, and I really wish they were cheaper than they are, because they're good quality. I just don't like paying the price for them. For that price is what it is. When you do have, cheaper options, here's what it is. But like I said, if you have, the ability to get the better quality, is what it is there. Especially given that, we're heading into a winter here that's supposed to be like one of the worst winters on record currently. And it's hard to say that, like, hey, you shouldn't be going for what's going to keep you the most warm and stuff like that, is what it is. So, anyway, that's pretty much it for the review for today. I heard it's going to be about a 10-minute video, obviously, and it basically was. So, yeah, basically, the hot feet ones, the most expensive of the 3, are the best quality. The most hot socks, I would say they're second best. They're not anywhere near as good. I would say they're about, maybe, if I had to compare like sock to sock, I'd say they're maybe about 3/4 as good. And those Winterlace ones are definitely dead last and about half as good as the hot feet ones. So, yeah, and again, like I said, you're basically paying money for it, is what it is, man. So it makes logical sense for them to put more material in when you're paying out more money for it, is what it is there, comparing to putting less material into something and you're paying like a cheaper price, is what it is, for more. And unfortunately, that's what these companies love to do, is what it is. They love to skimp and save wherever they can. So it is what it is. But yeah, if you need some winter socks for this coming winter, I would suggest obviously picking up those hot feet ones while you're in, while they're still in the $20, $30 range. Like obviously about $38 for the 4-pack is what it is there, because it's definitely worth it to have those on hand, just because you never know. Like if we're going to be in a storm situation, especially here in the Middle America area that gets hit with quite a bit of wintertime issues every year, and snowstorms, etc. Whether it be snow, whether it be sleet, whether it be freezing rain, whether it be, ice and then snow on top of the ice and then more ice, etc. there. Because we've had that before here in Ohio several times where we've had like an ice storm and that's a snowstorm and then it's another ice storm, or it becomes like freezing rain that freezes on top of the snow is what it is then, and it becomes this hard pack, and then eventually it gets another snowstorm over that in the next week or so, and then eventually it's a situation where you're basically walking on ice under snow. And yeah, if something were to happen, like I would definitely want to have a sock on that's going to make my feet not basically freeze off is what it is. And I feel like especially if you're going to be in the like Rockies or anything like that, if you're going to be anywhere in Colorado or any place like that that has like skiing or snowboarding or something like that, and you would want something like this, like I don't know if that would be particularly the best one to go for on that one. Like that would be the best one to have as like an extra pair on your pack or something. But I would say in that situation, you probably want those most hot socks because they're a little bit thinner, and you can actually put them into your boots better is what it is compared to the hot feet ones. Because these hot feet ones are pretty fluffy is what I'd say, honestly, or like kind of packed is what it is. So, but yeah, like I said, you're basically paying, unfortunately, over about $10 a pair of socks now is what it is these days, unless you want like the really crappy kinds, which are those Winterlace ones, which, again, if you want to pay the $15 for a 6-pack of those, like, go on ahead. There's nothing wrong with those socks. They're just not great quality is what it is, and you're going to need probably 2 or 3 pairs on your feet to actually get enough warmth in your feet to compare to either the hot feet ones or the most hot socks ones. So yeah, I honestly say personally save the money and just buy a couple better pairs of the other ones is what it is then. So on that note, we'll see you guys in the next one, which will probably be, I believe it's Wednesday now. We'll probably do a Freedom Friday this week at some point, and I'll most likely do a Slicey Boy Saturday on a new blade I've got in recently is what it is. The only reason I'm doing this review right now is because my piece of shit neighbor has kept me awake all fucking night with his idiot fucking friends over, and his moron friend just slept is what it is. So, but yeah, we'll get into more on this Friday of exactly what happened. Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, here's what it is. So, anyway, until later, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Stay safe. Stay vigilant. Always be carrying. And always know if you need to call the cops because people are pieces of shit. And when they're not observing quiet hours, sometimes law enforcement is getting involved is what it is. Later, y'all.